Reiki with Will here. Namaste, my friends. It is November 26, 2016, and today I want to go a little off topic and talk about Lemurian crystals. Today, during the Human Colony webinar, Hucolo webinar, Jim Charles channeled Takur, and Takur realized I had information about Lemurian crystals and put me on the spot, and I didn't quite answer the question because you can't really talk about Lemurian crystals in 2 minutes. So here's video 1 in a series about Lemurian crystals. I have none in front of me, so I can't show you them. I can't show you the different kinds. I can talk about the different kinds. But Lemurian crystals, they're a great addition to any collection. They're wonderful in a grid. They're awesome all by themselves. What makes them, there are many different kinds, and they're actually special high vibrational crystals. So there are striations, little strands on the side of the crystals that make them unique and mark them as Lemurian. And Lemurian crystals they're multi-dimensional crystals. So although we can touch them in the third dimension and we can build them in our grid, they reach all levels of consciousness in all dimensions because of how they were created and the intention behind the creation of the crystals. Yes, I'm getting a hard yes on that. So you can't talk about Lemurian crystals without talking about Lemuria and Lemurian culture and Lemurian society. So the concept of Lemuria and Lemurian crystals came with the white agatha when creation first started. There were various rays of creation, rays of light. And there are many websites out there that are talking about the various rays of light. And one of those rays of light was the white agatha, is the white agatha, because everything is. Everything is now. So the white agatha brought forth the intention for our solar system, for the Earth, for the learning in the lower dimensions, which ultimately led to the perfect balance of the divine masculine and the divine feminine, the perfect balance of positivity and negativity, which is our 3D reality. Lemuria was the first instance of physicality while striving for the goal of the perfect balance, the maximum amount of learning during an incarnate life. So with that, the Lemurian crystals were the first things that were actually created. With the coalescing of the energies of the Earth in the higher dimensions, which happened long before the coalescing of the energies in the forming of the mass of the Earth and the solar system and the sun during the physical dimensions. So in the higher dimensions, using intention, the white agatha formed the intention for Lemuria, and when the idea of Lemuria gained momentum, the first things that were incarnated were the Lemurian crystals. Because they're the first incarnate creation, they have the highest level of access to all the dimensions, and therefore they obviously make an excellent part of your grid, or part of the crystals that we have that we can work with in third dimension. There are many, many, many crystals that are great, and I'm not saying to run out and get Lemurian crystals. Get whatever crystals resonate and are calling for you and are wanting to talk with you and work with you. Those are the ones that I recommend that you get. And I don't know which ones those are. You listen. You pay attention to what the crystals are saying and which ones want to come home with you. But if you're logically choosing Lemurian crystals, Lemurian seed crystals, Lemurian healers, or Lemurian golden healers are awesome, awesome choices. And it doesn't matter the size, because the Lemurian crystals, each of them carry a vibration, a very, very high vibration. And just because the crystals are small, we, in our concept of time in the third dimension, these crystals have been growing for only, 50 to 100,000 years, some of the really small ones. But those crystals have been growing spiritually and in the higher dimensions since the dawn of time, since creation itself, with the intention that came with the white Agatha, with the intention that came with Lemuria. The Lemurian crystals were there. And so it doesn't matter how large or small those crystals are, they will work with you. With the bigger ones, if you're called to work with the bigger ones, they feel different. It doesn't necessarily mean bigger energy. It doesn't mean that it's right, or let's not try to, I don't want to use right or wrong. It doesn't mean that you should go out and get big ones because big ones are good. Big does not necessarily equal good. The one you have is the one that wants to work with you. And if you have 6, if you have 5, if you have 3, it doesn't matter. So let's talk about the benefits, the instantaneous benefits. Besides, it's a very high vibrational stone. It gives you access, easier access to your higher self. It opens up telepathy. It opens up everything that has to do with community, because that's what Lemuria was. Lemuria was all about community. Lemuria is a collective consciousness. And I should actually use the present tense, because everything is now. Everything is happening now. We have access to Lemuria in this now by focusing our awareness on Lemuria or holding a Lemurian crystal. Okay? To prepare for this video, I went to my local crystal store in Rochester, New York. I'm home visiting family, and my current home is in Austin, Texas. But since I couldn't touch a Lemurian crystal to fine-tune what I want to talk about, I went and I held several Lemurian crystals, some of them quartz, some of them, one was actually a little smoky, which was interesting, and I held it and I asked it what information it had for me. And then there was this large Lemurian seed crystal, and it had celestial water inside. So that is not only, it's a conduit for the divine feminine as well, and some of the earliest vibrations of the divine feminine. So if you can get your hands on a celestial Lemurian water crystal, you've got a great conduit for the divine feminine. The healers are nice because those crystals are used for actually healing. Besides record keeping, besides the transfer of knowledge, the Lemurian crystals hold consciousness. Like all other crystals, some hold a vibration, some can be programmed more easily, others have a program inside that can be activated. They all have some sort of knowledge and activation or consciousness at some level. The Lemurian crystals have a very high, very low ego consciousness. They want to work with you. They want to share spirituality. They want, because that's how they vibrate. They're vibrating spirituality, connecting with yourself and connecting with your community. Whatever that local community is, it could be the people that are in the room, it could be the people in the building, it could be the people in the city, it could be the people in the country, it could be the people on the planet. However you're defining community when you set your intention for communication or for receiving communication. So holding a Lemurian crystal will help with telepathy, talking with your higher selves. Because Lemuria was first created, there were 3 great ages of Lemuria, and the golden age, where the golden healers come from, was the middle age of Lemuria. And at the very beginning, the only life, incarnate life, was the Lemurian crystals. They were the life. And at the beginning of the golden age, as the Lemurians were coming down in dimension so they can experience more separation from source and they can experience more duality by stepping down in dimension, then they took on physicality. They took on another form that looks more like our bodies of today, but they went and rested inside the crystals. So they were one with the crystals and one with their community. They were a collective consciousness. They are a collective consciousness. And so Lemurian crystals, whether they're seed crystals or healers, they work well together and they cooperate with all the other stones in your grid. They not only cooperate, they get them to cooperate. So if you have 2 stones of opposing energy patterns, then the Lemurian crystals will work with them, building a bridge between the energy patterns and thus making a larger energy pattern to reach a greater community. Community is the key word. The Lemurians are about the law of one. They did not believe in separation, even though they knew they were down several dimensions from the original intention of their creation. The idea of the Lemurians is that they're going to stay connected with their higher selves. As a matter of fact, the collective consciousness is their higher self. So when they looked inward for advice, that's where the community came in, and they received the vibration of the community and helped them to understand. The term individual comes to mind, but it's not the same thing as the individuals that we think of today. We think of ourselves as total separate individuals in this 3rd dimensional reality, even if we're coupled up or if we're part of a family. I have my me. Our egos are big. What do I want? And no matter how benevolent we are, and no matter how forward-thinking we are, or no matter how community-oriented we are, there's still the me that comes in. And how we pay attention to the ego and acknowledge the ego, or still choose wisely, or choose community-based decisions, there's still the me aspect of it in our 3-dimensional reality. There was much, much, much less of that in Lemuria, and those Lemurian crystals, whether they're seed crystals are awesome because they help plant the seeds of ideas in you. They help communicate with your higher selves too, plant the seeds of the ideas. Inspiration, thank you. Inspiration, definitely. Where inspiration comes in and, oh, I want to do this. Oh, I want to do that. And then you have a conversation with somebody and you're sparking ideas in them. This is how those Lemurian crystals can help us in the third dimension. Telepathy. Since most of the communication that was done in the 3 ages of Lemuria, most of the communication was done telepathically, energetically. We think of telepathy as an alternative form of communication by thinking, because we normally use our mouths, our eyes, our ears, and our feelings for our decision making and our communication, when telepathy really just is vibration. And how are we vibrating? We can modulate ideas across any communication medium, and how we vibrate telepathy is our idea of not using our mouths to send information to a destination. Because that was their basic mode of communication, because it is their basic mode of communication. The Lemurian crystals, the seed crystals, the healers, the golden healers, are all excellent for various aspects. They're great for meditation. They're great for bringing harmony to a community. They're great for bringing harmony to business meetings. Any type of communication that's needed. It's easier to build consensus with Lemurian crystals, which is why Lemurian healers are so awesome. Lemurian healers are awesome because it aids in communication with the cells and all aspects of the aura and all aspects of past lives, because of the law of one and the Lemurian crystals' engagement of the law of one in all dimensions. It is easier to set your intention with the crystals to help with the healing of the client, and on all levels, in all times. And and having a community of Lemurian crystals around the client or in the room is yet another way to effectively add to the healing in all dimensions and in all aspects, past lives or whatever. And golden healers are especially good, because during the golden age, the physicality came into play during the second age, the golden age of Lemuria. So they spent time out of the crystals and realized that they're in a lower dimension, and the scientists were thinking of ways, how can we experience more? How can we learn more? How can we know ourselves more? Have this greater experience, and we can do so by removing DNA strands and by moving into lower densities, where in densities, that's a good way of saying it, because things are more dense. In this third dimension, we touch things, and we believe we're touching things, and the molecules are so close together in the people, the beings, and the other items in our physicality, that the molecules are bumping into each other a lot easier. So the concept of teleportation or passing through other objects is a lot harder in the lower densities, because it is more dense. When the Lemurian scientists were thinking of or devising ways to go into lower dimensions, they were more aware of their physicality, and the golden healers came into play, where color and other vibrations were helping. They focus lower vibrational energies into all aspects of the physicality. They're funneling the high vibration into the lower densities, which is why the golden healers are awesome tools. If you do any mode of healing, whether it's Reiki, Ray, any type of energy work, golden healers are awesome. If you're led to golden healers, that will definitely help your work. I can talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. Making a grid with healers, combination of Lemurian healers, golden healers, Lemurian quartz or Lemurian seed, whether they're double terminated, whether they're celestial, whether they have water in them, whether they're smoky a little bit. It doesn't matter. Just the intention when they were created allows you to apply intention, but it invokes divine right order in with your healing and your intention, and helps with alignment with your higher self, with your highest good, with the highest good of the client and the highest good of all the other crystals in the grid and your intention for the grid. All grids have an intention, whether it's stated explicitly or that was what the makers were thinking when they were building the grid. And there's the vibration of the stones, there's the intention, there's the direction of the stones, there's the flow of the energy, there's all these things that come into play. But the Lemurian crystals, they just up the game a lot in any grid. So I guess in closing, go hold a Lemurian crystal, whether it's just a quartz, a Lemurian seed crystal, a healer, a golden healer, and a zoostolite. Although they don't say it's a Lemurian crystal, trust me, a zoostolite is a Lemurian crystal. It came about in the third age of Lemuria, where there was more physicality, but it carries the original intention of the white agatha, and it carries the original intention of the first age of Lemuria and the golden age of Lemuria, and I don't want to call it it's not the last, it's not the final, it's not the ultimate. I don't know. I'll have to meditate on that to find out what's a good name for we'll just call it the ultimate age of Lemuria at this point, and which led to Atlantis. So Azustolite, the vibration in Azustolite is the forward thinking. It's the intention of Atlantis. See, that's what it carries, is the intention of Atlantis and the intention of expansion, the intention of the healing necessary for adventuring into the lower dimensions, expanding into the lower dimensions, learning. Hold a crystal. Pick one up. Go to your local shop. Hold it for a couple of minutes. I went and I held one for 15 minutes today, and the girl behind the counter was just, she didn't mind. She was just sitting there, and every once in a while I made a joke and I said, oh, I shouldn't really be pointing this at you. So go check them out. They are one of my favorite stones. And also check out Azustolite. There's several colors of Azustolite, and the clear ones and the golden Azustolite are totally amazing, amazing crystals. I'll make another video when I get back to Austin, because there's this one very large cluster of Lemurian crystals. There are healers, there are golden healers in the cluster, and there's like 5 or 6 different types of Lemurian crystals in this cluster, and the first time I touched it, I started speaking Lemurian, and I'm going, what is this language I'm speaking? And then it came through that, oh, this is Lemurian, and it was totally awesome that I'm getting downloads of information as well. Hold it. Be with it. Be one with it. Allow the Lemurian crystals. Ask it. Ask it to share knowledge. Ask it if it would share some knowledge with you. Allow it to share. Engage it. And then just enjoy. I'm sure you'll go out and get some crystals for yourselves. Namaste, my friends. Stay blessed. Unlimit yourselves. Reiki with Will, November 26, 2016.